All right, hello, hello, hello. Let me swap over the music. I am here now. Hello, hello, hello. If you're new here, I am Bajongles. And it's world building time. I'm just swapping over the music to uh Outer Wilds. There we go, Pog. How is everybody? All right, I have everything ready. It took a little bit of extra time today because I had to update some settings. I have to do that every time my computer updates. Thank you, Windows. Very cool. So I am going to swap over now to art time. Here it is. Here it is. The world map I'm working on. This is technically for a video game project I'm working on. It's just I want to get everything situated. Because I eventually want to do a bunch of games in this world in a bunch of different places. And so it sort of helps to have everything situated for me. I am going to update that volume a little bit. All right, there we go. And I figured since we are drawing the region that they're sort of the most prevalent, I think I'll try and go into the elves a little bit. Working title, they're kind of elves, but really not. Because they are plant people and they are very different. It's just uh, I originally intended this to be a D&D setting. So a lot of the stuff sort of has vague analogs to like pre-existing uh like 5e races and sub races. So until I find better names and stuff for them, I'm just gonna describe them in that way. Is very much a working title sort of deal. Uh, but basically, at the point of time that I'm doing this, right? So it's not. This is technically not the modern day of my setting. This is in the past, technically. Like a long ways in the past. Stuff will happen in the future, but yeah, not yet. So basically, if we want to go with with demographics for, let's say, the elves, right? Because we're focusing on the elves. Uh, around, and I'll get rid of this when I'm doing the actual map. Around I'd say like eh, I say about here are the equivalent to dark elves. What their deal is that actually no, I can extend them a little bit more south, I think. Yeah, I can extend them a little bit more south. So I'm gonna get rid of this little bit here. Alright, the dark elves, they are the tallest. They are very tall elves. Because they live in a sort of a sort of from like I can actually extend them a little bit like down here too. This will be refined later because I need to do the topography of this. They live in the tropics, the tropics and subtropics. On mostly on this island and a bit down here. Their sort of deal is they focus a lot on plant weaving, like weaving living plants um and also just regular weaving because they do not I mean they're plants. They do not really they do not really believe that it is right to cut down an entire tree or like any other plant for any sort of resources. So what they will do is they will to serve their needs, they will take offcuts or like entire plants and they will weave them. And that extends to their clothes and armor. So they will have living plant armor. Like living plant armor and weapons. Uh, which means that they can have a greater degree of control over their armor, and it can almost act like a form of natural, like magical power armor. Almost. That's this point in time. They will eventually lose that, but gain other skills much later on. Up here, sort of extending around here, going around like this, going around, they sort of meet up there. And here would sort of be the equivalent to like wood elves. Uh, if any of y'all are familiar with that in D&D, I assume so vaguely at least. Sort of, yeah. Um, I need to get more into Elder Scrolls. I like it, but I'm not super familiar. Um, Morrowind is definitely on my list, especially because there's like a mod project to extend it to the rest of like Tamriel, and so I want to get Morrowind so that I can experience that. Uh, which is going to be super exciting because they're going off like lore from that time in like real life. So like before a bunch of retcons and other games like added stuff and removed other things. Very neat. Up here are the wood elves equivalent in this more like minty green. Um I'm sort of still thinking about what to do with them. They're much less tall. I think that they form much larger, like, family grove communities. So you can find, like, massive swaths of trees that are just, like, the final stage of elves. The Wood Elves basically made a pact with the forest god, making it so they can't consume or use plant products, and they... Huh, interesting. I'll get into what I think is going on with the deities of this world a little bit later, but that's sort of cursed. Including sentience. Wow. I would hate to be, let's say, an Argonian, just like showing up where the wood elves live, and suddenly I'm hunted and eaten. You know, at least they're gonna be using like every part of my body. You know, I'd assume. All right, good. Yeah, if I'm gonna be killed and eaten, I would want my entire body to be used. I don't want there to be waste. That feels disrespectful. All right, the Wood Elves, they have much larger family communities. You can find like massive swaths of woodland that's just elves. And like their final stage is ancestor trees. And so while a lot of other elves, like the dark elves, become a part of their ecosystem, uh, what was I didn't. Oh yeah, yeah, fair. And also, I don't know if they count technically because didn't they come from like the histories? Am I remembering that right? Yeah, I think the histories. So I guess like they might count as like plant products technically. You know, while like some people like the Dark Elves would be part of their ecosystem and integrated in with that whole complicated web. The Wood Elves sort of took over the ecosystem and are sort of like the main plant. A sort of real life analogy in terms of animals would be like the T-Rex. And for those who don't know, it's commonly believed that the T-Rex filled all the or most of the predatory niches throughout its entire life. So it basically took over the predatory niches of that ecosystem, from small, medium to large and super large, and ate like a variety of different animals through the different stages. So it basically became the one thing. And so the elves sort of did this, but as trees, in this part of the world. And so that's sort of why they're called the Wood Elves, in this placeholder, is because they they are the woods, I guess. And now I'm going to get to. Actually, I'm going to do yellow for this because it makes more sense. And a really wide spanning group. Around here, sort of sticking to the mountains. Here would be the Sun Elves. Now, they're interesting. I've been thinking about them a lot. They're sort of the main group of elves I've been thinking about because they're super fascinating to me. And I'm sort of taking uh, my limited archaeology knowledge and using them as inspiration. Basically, the Sun Elves are an empire of elves. Well, not an empire. There's an empire in here plus other groups. I think mostly groups down here haven't been constituted yet, and maybe up here. Uh, but there's something really interesting about these mountains. So there are some magnetic crystals, that allow them to sort of conduct electricity and magnetism, and that's helped propel them technologically. And the interesting thing about these crystals is that they are the cause for floating islands. So not only are there incredibly tall peaks here, but there are also floating islands that these sun elves uh basically have as religious sites because it's closer to the sun. They also love gold, so their whole oh absolutely, I love Avatar. If there's any accidental inspiration from Avatar, that just is gonna make my stuff better. So awesome. Uh, and so their whole technological color scheme is gold and this sort of like rich magenta, which I absolutely love. And I'm gonna focus later on like the ecology of these mountains and the floating islands because they're super interesting. Uh, and they what's the word? Abacus. Abacus is the word. They've sort of developed a numerical like counting system and writing system based on sort of an abacus like system with the pushing and pulling of magnetic like polished balls of this crystal. And so through the increased mobility that their technology allows them, the extra like logistical power, the extra reach they have begun to expand quite far. Elves in this world are carnivorous, as like I think almost obligate. I'm thinking would be really interesting. So I get to go into like I'm gonna be able to get into their different um what is it? Their different like culinary traditions later. Sorry, I'm bouncing around. I am unmedicated. Uh, I just remembered with the wood elves because they've taken over the entire ecosystem. That allows them to easier like sort of in a silvicultural sort of sense. Um, like change the animals that live in that ecosystem to better suit them as a food source and as like other resources. So like for instance, let's say there's an like an arboreal mammal species of some variety. Uh they've sort of made it so that they are dependent on them. They are dependent on the ancestor trees. So that like it's much less likely that they're gonna run. Sort of like semi domestication, but for like an entire ecosystem. Super interesting. I think sort of as you go further north and also higher in elevation like this, the elves are getting shorter and shorter. So sun elves are actually quite short. Uh, like I think on average, I'm thinking they're gonna be like 4 foot and a half or something. I forget what the calculation is for millimeters, the correct measurement. Um, feet to millimeters, 4.5. Um, 4.5 feet is about 1,370, 1.6 millimeters. It looks like. It's like around that tallish. Not very tall. Now we're getting to an interesting group that I don't know a lot about yet. This group is uh much farther north here. Sort of butting up with the Sun Elves, except they are in the higher elevation, not higher elevation, higher latitude. Up around here are the equivalent of moon elves. I don't know a lot about them, but I think that they are semi-nomadic. And I need to look more into cold climate adaptation for plants, because I know a lot more about what that takes for animals than plants. So I'm gonna need to go more into that. So I don't know a lot about them. However, I think it's I think the idea of semi-nomadic elves is interesting. Like semi-nomadic herders in the northern reaches. That seems very typical of human beings in our real world, so I'd like to have it would be interesting to have some elves that do that. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with them yet, but I really like them as a concept. I definitely think I kind of want to base them off of things like pine trees or uh, yeah, like pine trees or fir trees. A lot of colder climate trees. So like any sort of leafage on them is much smaller, is much more needly, is much more hard. The sun elves I want to base on, there's this Andean tree that is in is like a rose, technically speaking, and it has really pretty leaves. Make them. Let's see. Make them copy Senos like the Japanese copied Chinese culture to some extent. Like, oh, that's smart. I like that. That's good. Oh, thank you. I might use that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think on like what they take because it's not really like a one to one. Like when you take large parts of somebody's culture, it's never a one to one. So I'm gonna have to like go into what that means. Especially when you mix that with like their environment. Ah, interesting. It it would be super interesting to mix like the parts of the culture of them that comes from like their environment, such as having to be semi-nomadic and herding and uh moving from summer to and winter reaches ranges and all that, and taking a lot of inspiration from the Sun Elves, who are a very sedentary, like expansionist empire. Would be super interesting. I need to figure out what parts to take and what parts to leave. Alright, now we get to some interesting stuff that I don't know a lot about because I focus on the elves mostly. Right now. So the elves are here. Very interesting idea. Sort of crossing ranges in this area. In the red here are the funny bird people. The funny I'm calling them harpies for now, but they're not harpies. They're somebody. Then they're sort of in this region. Uh, I I haven't focused on them a lot. However, I do have an idea of sort of their um and there's a lot of variation from place to place, but sort of the vague idea of like what sort of deities they worship. And they worship three deities, which I sort of got from th- like vaguely from the World of Darkness idea of like the worm, the weaver, and the what's the third one? The worm, the weaver, and the wild Canadian geese people. Oh god, the Canadian geese just came back. It's the time of year where they come back, so they've been around. Those suckers are mean. You know, the geese people. They worship sort of three deities, one of creation, one of order, and one of the destruction of things. None are seen in any sort of moral light, but seen as like those are necessary parts of how the world functions. And the one who gives them order sings the order into place. So song is super important to them, and their language like their languages uh put a large importance on tone and rhythm. uh so so when you hear them, it's like incredibly beautiful. There is a lot of different climate going on in this region, so there's going to be a lot of variation, but there goes yeah, exactly. Like there's like how did things come to be? Why are things the way they are? And explaining that all things must come to an end more than like moralistic stories. And so along with them having song as a very important aspect of their cultures, they also wear carved wooden masks as a form of social connection and showing of their status. I'm not sure what they look like yet, like their masks. But they represent like social connection and status and sort of showing who you're in with who. They can get quite intricate, I think. I'm gonna have a great time drawing them when it comes to that. So those are sort of here. There's another group that I'm sort of not really focusing on right now. I don't have a confirmed idea of what yet, but I know that there is going to be something here. my favorite part of fantasy is having a bunch of like sapient life. It's super interesting. I do have a Discord. It's not up yet. I'm still working on it, but I have one. Um, I have a link to it through Nightbot. I think it should work. Let me pop that up real quick if you uh I technically I have multiple Discords. I have a personal one and one for streaming. I have a Discord server also that I'm still working on. But I can pop up the Discord real quick. That should work. There we go. Let's see if the link still works. I might have to update it. It does not work. Don't click that link. It does not work. I need to update it because it wants me to renew the link every week. Get that the hell up there. Hold on, Nightbot. Commands. Discord, edit. Alright, I made it so that the link um does not expire. So I'm going to update that and then do this again. There we go. There's the proper link. It's my Discord name is just Bajongles. Heck, oh, did I do the username being the funny my funny handle on everything else? I did. Technically, it's Big Boy Art 1. Ah, hello. I see you in the server. I still need to set up rules and stuff, but it's here. Um, what I'm doing is I'm sort of copying what I see from all the other like Discord servers I'm in and seeing like what people do, what people don't do. It should be fine. It should work decently well. There we go. And I need to remember to put my stream art here as well. It's just that I've been setting it up, so there we go. And I think that they'll also extend to here. I need to figure out who these people are. Uh over here. I think that they probably have a relatively friendly relationship with the Dark Elves. But really don't like the Sun Elves for a lot of obvious expansionist imperial reasons. And I think that these people here, whatever they end up being, probably learned like um they probably learned weaving from the Dark Elves. Uh, but they're probably like very different, their own group. I'm going to delete that now because this is on a funny layer. Very important group of people. Happening right now as I discuss them right here. Incredibly important. They are very wide-reaching. This is not an empire or even like society map. This is a sort of this is more of like a species range map. Uh like more than anything. So here, and I think I can extend them much further down here, are the dwarves. The dwarves are mostly in the south, whereas the elves are mostly in the north. I don't know why I did that. That just kind of happened, and I like it, so I'm keeping it. But the dwarves are very interesting because their their family structure and societies I'm basing off of eusocial insects, even though they are beetles. Like they're based on beetles, and technically there's like a branch of beetle that's eusocial, but not what I'm basing them off of. So it's very interesting. Basically, and I think I went over this on a old stream of mine. Not old stream, but like my previous stream of this, like a week ago. That like uh dwarves have a very strong sort of family hierarchical structure, uh based on seniority. So the oldest members are the leaders, and the youngest members are babies. They're little baby grubs and pupae. So they don't really have much of a say. And when they grow older and older and older, they're technically immortal. Dwarves are technically immortal, much like lobsters. So they will eventually grow a carapace so thick that they can't shed anymore. And then they will basically be crushed to death in their own like armor. And when that happens, the dwarves will ritualistically like carve away and take like chunks of the keratin to use for tools and armor and weapons and building and all these sorts of things. Sounds like a skill issue. Yeah, rip. Rip them. Just continue to shed forever. And so these like these things made out of this keratin are really important and hold an almost religious experience. Not experience. Almost religious connotation. As they worship their ancestors in the past. So like you'll see an axe that was passed down like for thousands and for like thousands of years, and it's super uh yeah, exactly. The dwarves are just noobs. They don't understand that entropy does not come for us all. It only comes for the weak. Oh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, and so these things that will be passed down from generation to generation hold a higher and higher like uh importance, to the point where some of the oldest stuff that still remains are treated as straight up religious relics, almost like 40K style relics. And so if you don't steal any of their stuff because they will find you and they will kill you. Another thing, another very funny thing. Uh, the Sun Elves don't like the dwarves very much for a very, very important reason. The dwarves are beetles. Beetles, especially here with bark beetles and such, really like to burrow into trees to have their children. So through not really any party's like fault, technically speaking, the dwarves are killing are starting to kill as they expand like further north just sort of naturally. They've sort of been killing these ancestor groves with with like bark beetle infections. Basically, and like grubs eating through the wood. And so that's sort of starting the funny dwarves and elves hating each other sort of thing that I personally enjoy in fantasy and should be in most settings. Because the dwarves just want to have children. Very American pilled. Exactly. Ugh. Well, no, not actually exactly, because America did it very deliberately. America did the expansionism very deliberately and through much malice. The dwarves are not, is the thing. It's just they have to have trees to have their babies. And of course they want to have their babies. And they should have been smarter with the trees that they do have down here, but they're not, because why? Why would they be? Trees are everywhere. And so they're sort of expanding up this way a little bit, messing with the Sun Elves here, which means that the Empire here has more of an advantage on these people because they're like, we'll help you with we'll help you defend yourselves against the dwarves coming in. And then they don't realize that they're slowly being subjugated. Very cool, very awesome on their part, I guess. And so right now, this is. Oh no! Wait! No, no! Right, the goblin. I forgot about the goblins. How could you forever forget about the goblins? The goblins are sort of just everywhere. I, I, I guess they sort of reach from like down here till like all the way up here, basically. There are a bunch of different kinds of goblins that fill a bunch of different kinds of niches. What about gremlins? Um, gremlins are. I think gremlins were a split off that happened and are over here. I'm not focusing on them. Are there any irregular gremlins? Quite a few actually. It's just you can't really find them. They're quite irregular. They don't follow any of the sort of patterns of the regular gremlins. Oh, a thing I completely forgot. Thank you for reminding me through a tangent. Goblins and elves both originally came from the Feywild, because of course they did. Uh, the goblins were just creatures from there that came here and branched off and did their own thing. And elves, the magic of the Feywild is like it can see, it can it can see, it can process, it can it is alive, right? It is alive. And it knows. And when like the Fae, like when some archfey created a bunch of sculptures of themselves, in wood, the magic saw that they were people made out of wood, so they made them people made out of wood. And so that's sort of how they originally came about. Uh, and there are some that are of course just working class elves, not part of the aristocracy, and actually work for. Ex- exactly. Actually, no, that's actually interesting. No, I might change my idea for the goblins because of that. I kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. That's a good idea. Thank you. Now I'm imagining the goblins being like the bushes, like the bushes and the shrubs, whereas elves are trees, which is super interesting because you can get super weird and knobbly with like bush goblins. That is super interesting. I'm going to undo all this work now that I've demonstrated so that I can like work on the topography now. There we go. Oh yeah, no that adds so much because you can get goblins with with funny like red berries. And like knobbly wood. Oh, imagine a nine bark. Oh man. Oh yeah, imagine. Oh god, now I'm imagining a nine bark goblin. Hi, my cat just came in. Sorry. Hi. Yeah, of course, because hobgoblins are uh I love that the word hob originally comes from like, sort of a hearth. So they are home goblins. Technically originally, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I might be remembering wrong, but I that's what I think. Man, Pacific Ninebark is a very pretty plant. It is a local plant to where I live. Let's see, Ninebark Winter. It has like this really cool shreddy layered bark. And its seed pods are super cool because they are radial with 3 or 4 pods. It's super cool. Mm. Yeah, I think hobgoblins, and like hobgoblins, bugbears, and trolls are often confused with types of goblin, but they are unrelated. Red hobgoblins be bushes. Ooh, yes. Oh, yes, I get to get funky with fungi. Oh, yes. Oh, that's super cool. And they also live in the tropical regions or like subtropical regions too because fungus gets weird over there. Also, you're spitting on me, Nams. Let me readjust so that my sleeve will be your pillow. There we go. Oh, yeah, no, that's super interesting. Oh, I like that. I think that there are dark dwarves, like Dorgar, but they are scary. Either in a symbiotic race. Ooh. Ooh, I think nah, you're right. I think the red caps would be super interesting as like a cordyceps type situation because then you could also have them infecting other things like elves and like that would be their own thing. Uh why that's super interesting is because the dark elves here, not now but later on in the setting, are going to be driven underground. They are going to be driven underground and forced to adapt through that. And so they will have like close ties with fungus. So having this red cap fungus now means that it's going to be super interesting. Lower the brush size. Okay. Unrelated, but my friends and I last night did our first session of a Call of Cthulhu campaign where it's set in Godzilla. The Red House Drive. Ooh, ooh, I like that. I like that. That's very good. Oh, my cat's already getting off. I'm going to go into my sound settings real quick because I don't know about y'all, but this music is really really loud for me and I don't know why. Uh, because like all the settings for like the actual volume of the stuff on stream and the app I'm using my media player is fine. No, I really like that. I really like that about red caps. That's very good. You wanna? You wanna stay in? I'm very happy if you want to stay in. It's fun having you on my lap, Nams. Just oh, you're leaving. Okay, love you. All right, and then do that. But no, I love that red cap idea. That's super cool. Yeah, and blam. Even though I'm using like real world geology and such and geography as inspiration, this is not meant to be entirely realistic. Like for instance, hills don't really form like this. But it's cool, so I'm doing it. This will also be a really fertile river valley. And so will this. And then this will be something. Now, why this is a fertile river valley and not a desert like it would be in the real life equivalent is because it's right on a sea and water rushes in. It might be oh that might mean that it's an inland, like not inland. It's like it's like monsoon or something. I'll have to double check on that. Da, da, da. And then da, da, da. Yeah, and with the red caps, you could also extend that to like multiple different species of fungus that uh like cause like creatures to do a bunch of different things. Right? So like there's the red caps that want to be in a field of like fresh corpses, and there's also one that wants to be in like a cold, wet, secluded place. There's you could get freaky with it. Like you could have one that spread. Ooh, I love the changeling mushrooms and dungeon meshi. I've I finished dungeon meshi. It's so good. Oh, man, now I have to get up to close my door. There we go. Sorry, my door does not latch shut. Is the thing. Hi. I'm happy to see you. Hi. Yeah, like you could get freaky with mushrooms and other fungi. Like lichen in the real world super freaky, super awesome. Imagine what kind of stuff you could do if you allow yourself to just add a little fantasy to it. What if you had like a hive mind lichen that that like spreads throughout entire groves, adding to this mycelial network that becomes like one large intelligent entity, sort of, sort of like a hive mind, sort of extending with what happens in real life, with mycelial networks between plants and fungi, allowing for communication and resource spreading. Imagine what kind of domesticated fungi the elves could do with that. Because of said like mycelial communication networks, right? Like if elves are trees, then they would obviously want to rely on these mushrooms. And then that could extend to like a form of um economic and resource warfare where you're depriving another group of that resources while like funneling it into yourself and vice versa, and it's many ideas, many cool fungus ideas. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's kind of funny. I originally like set out to have the dwarves be like the super like technologic like super far down on relatively speaking on their technological tree. But the more I go into it, the more I realize that elves are weird and get to do weird things.
Hey, you want out? You want out or you want in? I'm happy if you want in. I'm cool if you want out. Yeah? You can't be halfway in the doorway. I can't hold this door forever. You want in or out? You want in or out? There we go.
Alright. Alright, my cat's out now. Alright, and something that's interesting is what if the sun elves aren't relying on it so much? Like the sun and moon elves aren't relying on it so much because of like the high elevation and the cold climate means that fungus doesn't grow nearly as easily, which means that they have to rely on other things like the magnetic rocks, the magnetic crystals. And so like and that's a whole different path. And then there are these other groups that are going down like sort of the more domesticating the natural world aspect rather than like bending the elements to your whim. However, I think that also disconnects them, uh, like in a lot of ways from like the wood and dark elves so much. I'm not super familiar with the World of Warcraft trolls. I've heard about them. I heard that like is they that they're really cool. I just, I don't want to get sucked into World of Warcraft because that feels very dangerous. That would be very dangerous for me. Sort of like how I stay away, like with a 10.5 foot pole away from League of Legends, because I know if I get into it, I'm never coming out. Those hills are super cool. I like them a lot. World of Warcraft troll lore. Ah, their tusks are super cool. That's what I'm gonna say, and then I'll look into them later. Ooh, interesting. I mean that. Hmm. I should probably have a place where there's a bunch of islands. Like besides just here, I should have more islands. I like islands. You reminded me with the Caribbean. Hmm. I remember seeing a trailer of some kind where there were trolls where there was one that looked very vaguely like Mesoamerican and the other one talked in a very nice accent. He talked so smooth. And I think the troll that talked just I'm remembering his voice is so good. Was probably one of the was like a dark spear. Huh. Interesting. Uh I'm not sure. Um yeah, Bon Samdi. Bon Samdi in the trailer. So good. Oh my god. And that is basically the extent of what I know about WoW lore is that trailer. And also that the goblins are really cool. I heard the goblins were stellar. Ah, yeah, no. His design looks so sick. Now I'm thinking about the how deities work in this setting. It just pops in my head and I have to talk about it or else I won't be able to talk about other things. Is that the gods that created this world were not the original inhabitants. They came here from somewhere else, killed a bunch of like eldritch like incomprehensible now creatures, used their bodies as like material, and that's how the world was made. And so there are some surviving members of this previous like group that are very reasonably extremely fucking pissed, and they want to take revenge on all of creation because like they're everything was taken away from them. And so and like technically it's not the fault of like the people who live here now, like just the mortal people living their lives, but they are a symptom of a long past of you know, uh deific genocide. And so they're super angry. Some are more some are more like blunt, some are more like trickster-esque than others. So they're sort of all doing their own things to try and bring down creation because they just want things to be back the way they were. You know, they want their home back. They want, and so like in a weird way, that gave them a very human motivation. And I don't know a lot beyond that. But that's sort of the deal with them and the interloper deities, the ones that sort of came in and conquered everything. The trolls are. Hold on, I saw your message. The trolls are actually like the only one of the main species in Warcraft we believe to 100% native to the planet Azeroth and with the globe-spanning empire before the elves took over, and the elves are actually a species of trolls mutated by a magic lake left over. Oh, oh, interesting. Left over as a wound and after some other aligned planet size does countryside parasitic Eldritch got out of it. Damn. World of Warcraft lore sounds sick. I can see why people like the game, even though it's definitely old. It's definitely an old game. I saw stuff on like the brand new update and it looks sick. Like that's the problem is that the update looks good and it's drawing a lot of people into World of Warcraft. It looks sick. It looks so cool. Man, so it's kind of turned into like the interloper deities and these eldritch creatures sort of using different parts of creation as pawns for like for their own ends, which sucks for just the normal people. Let's see, the Zandalari was the first tribe to settle around the mountain upon which a lot of wow. Oh, I mean, yeah, they have a point. They fair. So if other groups are native to if if everyone except the trolls and I guess the elves because the elves are also trolls. Like if everyone else are not native to the planet, where are they from? It's like they had to have come from somewhere. There we go, and we can just sort of extend that and make it sort of knobbly and funny. And then wham, bam, shang-a-lang. and other places, but we're always seen as lesser. Ah, classic racism. Also, unrelated, because I didn't like last week Sunday, I want to do it this week Sunday. I want to play Shadow Tower uh for the PS1. I have a ROM. I have a ROM for it. I have everything working. The only unfortunate thing is that it's an early-ish PlayStation 1 game, which means it doesn't have like joystick support, so I'm gonna have to get used to the trigger and bumper buttons to like move my camera. Other than that, it'll be fine. So, I should probably like play something that is like a big inspiration for me, like vibe wise. They ended up inviting demons to invade the world. Ooh, yikes! Cause every was.
Here we go. Hi. Hi, cat. Hi, Nanoms. Hi, you want up?
Uh, the rebellion started, and I was stopping the demons with blue. Ah, I love funny lore-based continental drift. It's very fun. I originally wanted to have a sort of similar thing with this setting, but then I sort of decided to get rid of it until I could get some like get a better idea of like how to do that. The way I designed this portion though is that uh there was some continental drift there. I mean, you also have a yes, the China inspired panda people. People don't typically like them very much because they don't like I've heard people say that they just don't really have the depth or the interest of like the other groups. I mean, like people now will look at World of Warcraft orcs and go, "Oh, those are just orcs, big green mean guys that hate and are evil." And I mean, it's not true from what I know anymore because they were under the control of something. But didn't like World of Warcraft come up with that idea of orcs? Like, wasn't that a World of Warcraft original? I'm gonna see if I can find a thing that I have on my. Well, let me delete the autosave there. Oh, I do. This is a very old, like, regional map that I was working on that is very outdated now. Oh yeah, I did that grid because reasons. Yeah, but this is an earlier rendition. I really like the islands over here, but everything will need to be reworked. Uh Tolkien orcs are actually not like that from what I remember. They're very unique and they represent a very specific idea of the dehumanization of war. Because like they're not human, they're not people, they're soldiers. They're soldiers that don't have even really have a reason to fight. They're just fighting. And the reason he did that, from what I remember, is that he saw a lot of people in war, like when he fought in the First World War, that were like that, and it like ruined them. And so he was like, I'm going to have that be the villains because that is not a thing that people are supposed to be. They are supposed to, be people. They're supposed to, like, if they're gonna fight, they should be fighting for something. I come from Tolkien the same way that modern elves and dwarves. Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, they did come from Tolkien originally. Like, even with me trying to be weird with, like, what I'm doing wouldn't be considered, like, I wouldn't consider getting weird with them if it wasn't for, like, Tolkien's, uh, like, Tolkien's work and all the inspiration that others took from it. Because like before Tolkien, there was a lot of fantasy media about elves even. It's just that there was no like unified idea of what they were or what that even means. Tolkien came along and wrote like a few really insanely good stories, and then suddenly everyone wanted to be like that, which just tends to happen with influential works. Water time. Mm. Oh, and I have been sent something. Um, I was just sent a funny image. Don't mind that. Da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. And actually, yeah, allow me to extend that kind of like this, I think, maybe. The humans, dwarves, and okay. Let me read this. The humans, dwarves, and gnomes in Warcraft were made of metal, stone, and gears, respectively, originally, but were cursed by the three of the eldritch parasite tentacle gods on the world to suffer from the curse of flesh. Ooh, making them mortal and. Hmm. I curse you with having to make decisions. Honestly, mood. This decision paralysis can be a bitch. Sort of going back to fungus because I keep thinking about it. Because of the ants, because of the ants of the real world, I forget which ants, but they're the ones that farm fungus. It would be interesting to see the dwarves like farm fungus. Fungus is cool, and I think they should have more of it. So, like, it would be super interesting to have these vast underground farms, like spiraling and worming down deep below the harsh rocks of the mountains, just like filled with fungus. Hold on, I have a bot to ban real quick. There you go. Wish me and welcome from another planet. Oh, they're actual like extraterrestrials. Originally coming from a giant continent. Found. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like that. Maybe one of the previously mentioned order aligned gods called Titans to fight the overreactive giant Godzilla-sized plant monsters and keep them in check so different forms of life could develop and thrive. Ooh, I love when I love when fantasy gets funky with it, and that seems like the fantasy in World of Warcraft is getting funky with it. Wonder. Hmm. The giant eventually died but from their corpse came these small giants, and especially eventually there came even smaller giants from them. Oh, so that's how orcs happened. Is that they just progressively the smaller and smaller and more fleshy giants? Sick. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with giants, but I want to do something with giants, just like I want to do something with dragons. Because, like, you can't have a fantasy setting without them. I mean, you can, and a lot of them do, and a lot of them turn out really good without them. But I'm gonna say that you can't, just so that I'm for the funny. Yeah, I like that a lot. Warcraft ogres, which are like 1.5 to 2 stories tall, and from them came orcs, which the ogres is slave. Huh. Huh, so is that why, like in the original Warcraft, you're fighting orcs is because like they're enslaved by the ogres? I mean, that's fucking interesting. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean for to make you get off my lap. I was just moving slightly. Okay. Um. All right, sick. So, all right, six. So the ogres is sort of pre the games. That's like background setting. All right, sick. Do, 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 do. Hi, miss. You want back up? There's the blue goat people from Eastern Europe with Eastern European accents called the. Oh, what do they do?
You mad at me? Did you want my attention? Hi. Hi.
I have a feeling that uh these blue goats crashing onto the planet is a I have a feeling that uh them being called exiled and them crash landing on the planet does not bode well.
Hi. You want?
There we go. Hi. Sure to feel free to take a nap. Yeah. Hi. So are so um are they bad, or are they just like people that crash landed on the planet and they just kind of look They just kind of look like pop culture demons. I wanted to erase, thank you. From a planet called Argus, the Demon King went to them and they the three leaders. The Demon King managed to convince two out of three, but the third one called Valiant had a stealth, so he went right and basically had a vision on what. Huh. And so they're not really exiled, or it's like a self-exile? Interesting. So essentially, two-thirds of the species became demons and corrupted by Falman. Huh. Huh. And this Demon King is the one that the Elf Queen, like, wanted to seduce. So it's starting to come a little bit more, like, in circle. Uh, like, showing how different people are, like, interacting with who and such. Ah, okay. Instead of crossing the Red Sea, he crossed space and time, or maybe just space, but still, fucking space. Also, the fact that spaceships are just like a canon thing in World of Warcraft is really funny. Like, it's super cool, but it's also very funny. Why do they look like demons but blue? The spaceship crashed on the Orcs planet. Oh, the Orcs planet. The two other leaders from the down. Oh, oh, I like that name. I like the name Draenor. Very nice. It rolls off the tongue. Oh, oh, you wanna? Okay.
You want out? Hmm. I can't hold this forever, so I'm gonna close it.
If you want out, let me know. Alright, and
Mm, I have to close. I can't keep the door open.
they managed to corrupt the orcs on the planet. And of course, there's an isolationist but not hostile relationship with the Draenei. No, Draenei. Turns out that at this point the orc skin isn't green yet. It's dark brownish or reddish leather tones. Why did they turn green? I mean, it makes sense that they're not green yet because, like, they come from like stone titans, right? They came from a stone titan, and stone is not typically green. Stone is often dark brown, gray, and reddish. Also, I'm taking a little bit of a break from actually drawing because this is interesting and I want to focus. There we go. Hmm. Okay, I have my focus back.
Well, in or out? You keep the door open because there's noise, but
It looks like you want out, but you don't leave. Right, I think I will draw, actually. I am Sans, look into my eye.
Right. Hi, you wanna? Hi. Hello. It's hard to draw when there's a cat circling you and meowing because she wants your attention. Being very sweet. Drinking the blood of a demon, not an Eridar, but another species of demon, thus binding them to the will of the burning legion of the name of the armies of the demon king and giving them berserker rage and increased strength and fury, driving them to Genesis. Oh, oh, so they're all gone now? They in fact kill so many. They, they use their bones to pave a road. God damn. Goddamn Israel moment. Like, did they use the bones as like a cobblestone, or did they like use it as part of a formula for the pavement? Like, there's just a bone road, I guess. Hi. There we go. Hi. Oh God, like cobble. Red. Oh boy. Mm. Fucking, fucking gross. So what? So what happened to the orcs between then and like when like they're a playable group of people? Like do they still go about doing that, or did they stop at one point? Ah, huh. While this is happening, the elemental spirits the orc shamans communicate with stops responding, and the Burning Legion introduces them to warlock fell magics. You see, this is what I call a big red fucking flag, but uh, what are you gonna do? I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna make sure to save in case something happens. Yeah, that typically happens.
That typically happens in this situation. They're like, I don't want to play with you anymore, and then drop him like Woody. That was the wrong line to do that with. There we go. This one is a better one. Okay. Yeah.
What? Hmm. What? What's you meowing at? Hmm? Is there something in the wall? There we go. I can't have the door open because I'm doing a thing. Alright, there we go.
There we go, and that is not the way I wanted to draw that. While the other Erdar leader gets the idea and influence the orcs to invade Azeroth through a portal. The orcs agree is all the film adjective. Huh. Into the hell dimension. And killing most of the plant life and fracking the planet to the point that by the time of Warcraft 2, 3, and World of Warcraft, the planet is reduced to a continent floating in the middle of space with no. Oh. Oh, they boiled the oceans away. Sid Swamp used to be the bottom of a fjord. Rip. Rip big time. Warcraft 1 is this horde of orcs. The horde is what they called themselves when they united to genocide the Draenei. Oh. Mm. I don't know how to.
What are you doing? What are you doing, miss? Hmm?
The ocean didn't so much boil away as the planet broke into pieces and floated away. Oh. Man, I hope that doesn't happen to Earth. You know, that would really suck. We'd have to go to Azeroth. Thinking of a funny line going like, of stuff going like that. Another maybe splitting off that way. Yeah, I'm beginning to believe. I do that.
One out. There we go. Love you, Nanums.
Something I was just thinking that would be interesting, but I don't know how I would make it make sense for the world is what if there were two, I mean, there's already gonna be two moons, but what if one of them is an egg? What if one of the moon's an egg? What's in the egg? I don't know. Nobody knows. Most they don't even know it's an egg. But like, what if it was an egg? What if it was a large egg sac for space spider things? Or what if they were planet parasites and they killed the moon? It doesn't really make sense for this setting, but I like it. I like it as an idea. I might use it for something else. Like Nightingale Nebula, where there's a moon that's actually full of eggs. Okay, so in Warcraft 1, the Horde invades Azeroth with the help of the Human's Great Wizard, which oh my god, I think wish it was Medivh. Let's see, who has been possessed by the spirit of Sargeras. Now who I called the Demon King, basically. Alright. Since conception, his mother was a previous guardian. Huh. Huh, interesting. I am just the wizard guardian. Come on in, orcs. You're cool, and we like you, and you're totally not going to genocide us, teehee. So what's on Azeroth that, like, made them want to invade? Like, was it just close? Or is there, like, some super rare material that they wanted and they were willing to, like, kill a bunch of people again for? Well, in the Eastern Kingdoms, the Kingdom of Stormwind, this is Warcraft 1, the humans lose. Oh! Also, it's just canon that the humans lose.
There we go. Hi.
let me scoot up for you. I would like for you to either stay in or stay out for a bit. That would make it easier on me. So do you want to get on my lap and stay a while, or get on the bed, or just hang out? What do you want, miss? Hi. Oh, come on, Mike. Hey. So the humans just like cannon full on lose. No. Hi, what's up? Get me on. I'm glad you're using your voice. There we go. Hi. Ah, there's a large delay on the stream. Sarsaparagos was originally one of the Titans, the planet-sized order of gods that helped order the planet and the Frightful Earthen and Mecha Gnomes, the original forms of humans, dwarves, and gnomes, respectively. But then he discovered some void-aligned old gods and that had corrupted a world like the one the Titans pulled out. Throughout the World of Warcraft was really. Huh. That corrupted a world like. Huh. The Sargeras was originally one of the like a god basically, and then he did this. He decided to do this with his eternal question mark life. Like he decided to burn it all down and start again instead of letting the. Oh, okay. So he wanted to like make sure that nothing. Okay, I guess the reason for this is because some world contain what is called a world spirit, which is. Huh. And so the funny World of Warcraft planet also has one of these. No, no, no. Okay, so they want order because order is basically like reproduction. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense and checks out. I'm trying to find a good. Okay. Yeah, no, that's looking good. I'm making a lot of progress. You see, lore is cool, and I think it's interesting that they want to bring order because that basically like helps them create more of themselves. I might take that idea and twist it a little bit because that's super interesting. So I think Azeroth had one of these, the strongest one. But recent lore seems to suggest that what's growing in Azeroth is much more, maybe even a baby form of what might have created the Titans that came before. Huh. So it's a super special planet. Hmm. Hmm. No, no, I really like that. Hold on, someone's knocking at my door, I think, so I'm gonna be right back. Alright, that was a misunderstanding. I heard a knocking and I thought it was on my door. Let's see, yes, and this is why the Titans were especially careful with Azeroth. It's as far as we know, the last planet that they visited before they confront, was defeated by Sir. Huh, okay, so. Alright, no, that makes sense. I like having places be special. I might eventually do a multiple planet thing. I might have the Feywild be like a planet, technically, like another magical planet. After this, you're giving me a lot of inspiration. Thank you for showing me World of Warcraft. It's very cool. I don't think I'm gonna play it because it's dangerous. I might never get anything done ever again. But like the lore, super cool. But okay, so they were defeated by Sargeras, and so does he have basically free reign of everything now, or like is like did they die or were they just defeated? Fun fact: there was Spirit may actually she resurrect. Ah, interesting. Yeah. Actually, no. Let me keep that. No, let me keep that layer. Let me get rid of this layer to see what's up. There we go. Also, fun fact about how I was having a bunch of disk space problems before. Uh, always search for your temporary files. And or not temporary. Yeah, temporary file. No, not your temporary files. Your downloads. Look at your downloads. Because I had 69 gigs, nice, of space that I just freed up. I freed it up because I didn't need the downloads because everything else was on my computer elsewhere, so they were just duplicate files. So if you're having trouble with disk space, get rid of temporary files, get rid of downloads, and then you'll be good, I guess. I also got rid of Fortnite, so that saved me like 70 plus gigs. I'm good. I have the Monster Hunter Wilds beta and Dead Rising 2 off the record on my computer right now. So good. I'm able to have space now. Let's see. The Titans were defeated, and it's a whole thing. I think Sargeras brought them to Argus, the Aerodactyl planet. Also contained a world spirit that Sargeras tortured and used to speed up his demon army's natural respawn timer, and tortured them there to try and corrupt them. And that's not good. That's really not good. Let's hope that that doesn't happen to Azeroth, because if it's true that it's the thing that can create these beings, then it needs to not die. That sounds like a bad thing to happen. Big hill. Also, I like that respawning is a canonical like concept in the world. It's not just like a gameplay thing. That's what I like so much about Dark Souls and like other Miyazaki from soft games. and I'm glad that World of Warcraft does that here because I like when game mechanics are explained in lore and it makes sense and it's good. Right? This makes sense and it's good. Right, so during Warcraft 1, the orcs conquered the kingdom of Stormwind and the conclusion that it isn't enough space. It could have been if they actually did agriculture, but they were nomadic horse-sized monsters roaming the planet, and so decided to invade the northern part of the Eastern Kingdom's continent. Respawning isn't really canon, but it's has implications. Um, I mean, I hope it becomes fully canon because from everything I'm hearing, it seems like it should be. Right? Like it fits nicely into the lore. It makes a part of the game make sense, which adds like a deeper connection to it for the people playing. Really makes you feel like you're a part of the story, rather than like, a person playing a video game. Like it makes sense, right? It's it would be good, and it seems like it would make a lot of sense. So I'm going to choose to believe that it's canon until it's either proven or disproven. This part of map making is very fun, but it is very time consuming. Yeah, and then I can have a little bit like and this and that and that. I also have a One Piece world map I need to finish eventually. I need to figure out a time to do that because I've honed my skills a bit since I last worked on that. All right, so this is all like around the time of Warcraft 1. So so what happens in 2? Because it feels like the humans squarely lost. So do they like add more people? Do they like uh who's who's taken in so much demon energy and demon souls that he's kind of become a demon in natural response and twisting. Now that how they mention kind of like what happened to Aerodot. Okay. I mean that's cool. So he's sort of World of Warcraft Doom guy. Or sorry, the Doom Slayer. Doom guy is him before a bunch of lore happens. Also, what's the deal with the Minotaurs? I've seen them around. Right? Like I can tell that they're playable, but I don't know what their deal is. And during the quest, you. Huh. Huh. Alright. But, like, not if you play any of the others. Because the others don't have the demon energy going through them so much. Ah, oh boy, the noble savage trope. Mmm. Yeah, that's rough. No wonder people don't really talk about them, I guess. But when I said like what's their deal, I mean like what's their lore? Like how do they come into the story? Do they very much or are they like sort of on the side? I like that upper bit there, but I need to redo this middle bit. This middle bit is a bit rough, and it can be refined, perfected. I'm so interested to see how, again, like how like if the orcs at this time were like known for genociding entire peoples, how did the humans manage to stay around like until World of Warcraft? Like what happens with them? Okay, I understand now. I have a vision. They seem to come from a wild god, basically nature deity seated by the Titans, some of which became worshipped as low by trolls, and some show up in World of Warcraft, not World of Warcraft 3, Warcraft 3, where they live in the western continent. Ooh, I love that name. World of Warcraft names are like fantasy in a very hokey way that I love. Like Kalimdor, Azeroth. Uh, on the steppes just south of the forest, the and night elves, the elves that evolved from trolls. Ah. During World War II, the orcs invade the dwarves, gnomes, human kingdoms, and the high elves north of Stormwind. Oh, okay. So they do sort of expand like who's a part of Warcraft in Warcraft 2. Where they fall to him fighting backstabbing. Ah, interesting. If I remove this should help me figure things out a little bit. Um, Yeah, I just realized with this map, I decided not to do the Mercator projection because I don't like Mercator. But that makes it a problem because it would be hard to put this on a globe because it's not like super um like this is the relative size of all the things. I accidentally made it a flat map and not a projection. How my mistake. Come on, there we go. Like this. This creates the alliance basically with the kingdoms of Lordaeron leading it. Kinda, it's a whole thing with ancient oaths to different bloodlines of warriors against the native trolls by both the high elves and humans, which is not how. Oh, okay. I wonder if this is where the trope of like humans learning a lot of stuff from the fantasy races comes from. Because I didn't really see it too often in fantasy before Warcraft became a thing. Like it was, I guess it was probably there of like the humans learned smithing from the dwarves and magic from the elves. I need to delete some of these things because they're doo-doo stinky. There we go. One of the orc leaders splits off on his own side quest to gain more demonic powers by observing the corpse of the avatars of Sargeras that maybe his mother killed previously. Huh. I was about to say, wow, I can't believe the lore is so expansive. And then I remember that, like, Warcraft is an old game series. It's an incredibly old game series. This has had decades of, like, being able to build off of itself. So, like, of course the lore's expansive. It's been going through, like, you know, development for, hmm, that's an A, was World of Warcraft for I don't know how long, but very long. 90s probably. Also, Warcraft was like is like a multimedia like uh franchise, right? Like there are Warcraft books and there's that movie that nobody likes because sometimes a fan wants to get everything about a thing into a movie when it needs to be concise. Yeah, let's see. So the core kind of splinters and falls apart. One part goes back to Draenor. It's not yet falls apart and tries to make portals to other worlds to conquer. Ah, okay. So they need his corpse so that they can make the portals to go out and conquer more places because they've ruined their own home. But not all of them go back to do that. A lot of them stay on Azeroth. And I think they're coming together. Things are making sense. Let's see, I'm visualizing. Oh, this is hard. It's like, this is large enough that I could zoom in to like a local area and do a bunch of like region maps. And it wouldn't like lose much of, like it wouldn't lose any sort of fidelity or anything like that. This doesn't work and opens portals all over Draenor, making the problems worse and beginning to pull Draenor apart. So it turns into basically a giant island floating in space slash the twisting nether. Hmm. All right. And so do is that when they go back to Azeroth or is this just like the group of orcs that left and they're like ones still on Azeroth? There we go. Okay, and big hill. And we do this, and and this, and then it does that, and it's very cool and awesome. There we go. I think I'll save again. I think saving's a good idea. It's one of the previous shaman and warlock orcs that do this against the orders of the Port War Chief Mighty. That is what's called the Second War, during which the orcs also captured the leader of the Red Dragons and forced her to breed and lay many eggs, which they magically aged up and came to make the Dragon Riders. Ah. They also use this magic on their children to make orc child soldiers fully grown orc bodies. Oh. It's interesting that no matter where you go, war crimes are always the same. Hmm. Keep in mind that dragons in this universe were blessed by the Titans, kinda, and are at least, if not more intelligent than most species. So they're just so dragons are just people, and so the orcs have taken people and decided to ride them as mounts. Oh God, yeah, fuck you, scaly child. Womp 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 womp. I'm gonna ride you like that. I don't know. That kind of sucks and is a bit messed up. I think maybe they should just don't. They should maybe just not. Frankly. Oh, oh, okay. I was just readjusting my leg. Okay. My cat jumps off when I readjust my leg slightly, but is fine when I completely readjust myself. I don't understand. I don't understand. It's fine for you to be on here. Uh, the war the war kind of ends with the war chief having to turn around and punish the previous shaman for disobeying orders and beat him up, and the alliance uh follows all the way back to the portal. They they end up sending an expeditionary force to Draenor to stop them from opening more portals and stopping the portals opening. Huh. Huh. Alright. Oh, okay. Do you want out? Alright, love you. Ah, alright, my cat is out, and now I am, my leg is asleep, and it's gonna hurt for a while. Let's rock. You do this, and then that, and then you have this whole pocket. The previous shaman leader ends up being punished by one of the Eridar leaders for sat, in, uh, failing in his task by torturing him, binding his soul to a piece of armor and using him as the Lich King. This will come back in Warcraft 3 as the controlling force behind the Forsaken. Huh. I like when stories and lore like recurse on itself and be like, remember this thing? This is it now. Feel old yet? Water. Remember, it's important to have proper hydration or else your head hurts. Uh, Meanwhile, the horde is dismantled and the orcs are literally placed in concentration camps. That's literally what they're called, but also kind of fair when you have a literal demonic horde invading. On one hand, yes. On the other hand, those are still concentration camps, and I hate them on principle. So, like, I get why they did that, but also that still sucks and is bad. Like in universe, it is is bad as a story, as a story in a game that's really interesting. Yeah, or the American ones, or the other American ones. Um, who else did them? A lot of people did them. Uh, Russia kind of had them with like the gulags, but those were kind of different. Concentration camps are never just for concentrating into an area. They were mainly used as forced labor to help rebuild after the deconstruction. The orcs cause kind of repay what they. Yeah, like I said, that's really interesting in the story, and like what comes of the orcs after that, right? Like I know you can play as orcs later on. So like what like do they what's the deal with that? Yeah. Yeah, they literally did. I mean, they did drink the evil juice. That is true. Huh. I guess they probably didn't feel that way before with the like nature magics because it was immediately replaced with something else. But I can definitely imagine like being fully cut off is a problem. Slow and incremental progress. That is why I love making maps, because you can like physically see the world of like forming. Right, like here funny foothills for this mountain that are surrounding like river valleys, and up above you get like really tall craggy mountains and such. It's very fun. I highly recommend making world maps if you haven't. Just like even real world maps. It is a very meditative process. But anyways, yeah. Do they like Warcraft 3 takes place 16 years after that, and keep in mind that orcs grow a bit faster than humans and they mature. Let's see. Going of 18 to 20 years old by age 16. So 16-year-old orcs is considered basically a grown adult. Okay, so Warcraft 3, like these orcs, like a lot of them, it's only the older ones that remember.
Hey, what's up? Hey. Hey. Huh?
And so if an orc was born like in one of these concentration camps as like the first year that they were in place, right? Then they like would have never known what it was like beforehand. And I'm assuming orcs are being born quite often. And then you able to split this. And that goes like that a little bit. And then you get this. And then that allows you to have a funny spike like this. this was here beforehand, so I'm going to extend this into a river basin. Not basin, like a bottom bit of the river elevation. There we go. And at some point, the orc speak, led by a orc named Thrallborn, just after or before the First War. He was the son of basically the only war chieftain that had doubts about the demon blood and was assassinated shortly after. The start of the First War for not telling or towing the line. Ugh. Okay. Okay, so the current leader of the orcs is the son of somebody who did not want to do any of the demon conquering shit, or at least had doubts before being assassinated. Huh. Huh. All right. Yeah, it really just feels like the orcs keep going from like subjugation to subjugation to subjugation. Like there's they were enslaved by the ogres and then by the demons and then by people now. Like I assume it's not just humans that are doing this, but also like elves, right? Mhm. What's going on? His orc father was named Durotar, was basically one of the only orcs who had any relations with the Draenei pre-genocide. No, and only joined the Horde when it seemed like the only option, as the planet was dying, and, and Thrall ends up being basically a combination of Orc Moses and Orc Jesus, kinda. Also, the fact that he's called Thrall and like grew up as a slave is the name is very blunt, but is getting the point across. Like I think specifically like house slave. They're just like you. Uh, didn't have any orc slaves. They didn't need them, and most likely kept kept busy trying to wipe out the native forest trolls in their region. Ah, they went. You forest trolls are stinky. Die. And then man, there's a lot of genocide in World of Warcraft. I'm just now noticing there's a lot of that. Yes, his name also uh yeah, that's kind of fucked. Huh. The human family just went, "You are our slave. Your name is no longer this. You are now our thrall." Like what's like I think the only way that it could get worse was if like he was given a number instead of a name, you know? Hmm. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about this guy. I am probably going to end the stream in like maybe half an hour. Just so you know. But I would like to hear so much more about him. Let's see. Eventually, he escapes the camp and joins up with the remnants of the Frostwolf clan. The clan his father, Zartana, was a chieftain of who fucked off into the mountain valleys of uh, Altarock during the Second War and remained there in seclusion. Huh. All right, so he joins back up with he joins back up with his people in the mountains after escaping the camp. I'm assuming when you say oh, hold on, I just got your new chat message. There learns shamanism under the last remaining shaman of the clan and eventually joins up with the escaped Gromash Hellscream, the first orc to drink the demon blood, so he's got major rage issues. Ooh, he was the guy? Oh, I just realized because there are all these orcs being born like like after this happened, they're not being exposed to like the evil juice anymore. Go, Gromash. Go, drink the evil juice, become evil. Drink it. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. If we get rid of these, you can see the progress I've made is actually a lot. Here's the first one to actually drink it, turning his skin green. It even turned the skin of those who didn't drink it green, like Thrall. Rotan his mother never actually drank it, but because they bent the knee to the horde, it still affected their unborn child. Oh, he used to be good friends with his father and tells him stories about him. They free the rest of the orcs from the camps, and then he gets a cryptic vision from the now free spirit of Medivh. Huh. The vision tells him to head west over the ocean. This is the start of Warcraft 3's Orc campaign. Hmm. I really like the continued story like this. There's just here's the first game, here's the second game, and here's the third game. It tells you a lot about the world and stuff is happening in the future now. Like that's very basic, but I like the way they're doing it. You know, not just that they're doing it. I don't know how to describe it. It's very nice. Like the first one, here's the orc invading, then two is expanding, and now we have to deal with the consequences. And now there are people who are being born where none of it was their fault, but they still have to deal with the consequences of like the past. Like obviously Thrall had no actual part in like any of that happening. He was either a baby or not born yet. Sometimes because I'm staring at this map for so long at this way, I forget how cool it looks until I flip it and I go, that curve is really awesome, actually. That curve is really awesome. Alright, more wonder. Wonder time. Meanwhile, zombie plague starts spreading among the humans. The human prince, Arthas, who's also a paladin of the holy light, tries to fight it, ends up killing a whole city who's infected to prevent them from being raised by the undead army. This makes both the paladin mentor Luther uh, and his banging mage girlfriend named Jaina abandon him. Mm, fucking rip. Ba da 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 dum, da dum, da. Drives him on a quest for revenge on the undead and the demons controlling them. It leads to them going to the northern continent and finding a cursed magic rune blade. He picks it up and becomes corrupted. Ah, of course. Hold on, I'm looking at what I need to do to fix the chat on this, and I'll figure that out later. There we go. He ends up paying the lich toll. Turns out he's a soul in his phylactery. Hmm. Meanwhile, Medivh also gives the same cryptic visions he gave to her throughout. She gathers the survivors after Arthas returns and kills his father. And huh, Arthur's like, I'm evil now. I'm going to fucking kill you. I picked up this sword and armor and now I'm evil and I guess icy? Is that what the deal is with the Lich King? Is that he's like in an ice he's like around ice and his and everything around him is cold because he's cold like the grave. Am I remembering right? Is that who I'm thinking of? World of Warcraft designs are cool. I used to play Hearthstone. I stopped playing it because it updated and it stopped being super fun, but I did play it for a bit. Okay, imagining. All right. The the Lich King is a set of armor possessed by the previously spoken about Orc Shaman encased in a yes, encased in a block of ice. Uh, Jaina takes the survivors west over the ocean because she's also basically the princess of the nautical kingdom. It's an admiralty, and her father is the leader. But semantics, of course, semantics are fun though. He's Father, I want ships. I'm sailing west. Oh, sure. Uh, uh, sh sure, Jane. What for? I have visions. I need to head west. Very well. And it was so. Oof. I'm really liking that swooping shape, how that's turning out. That's nice. That's so nice. Alrighty, now the map is, well, I should have saved it more like, this. So I'll actually save it like this. Then what I'm gonna do, ba ba da ba ba, just chatting. There we go. I feel like I've done a lot of progress on the drawing, and now we could just chat until it's time. Alright, let's see here. Hey, sorry. Sorry. Alright. Anyways, okay. See, they ended up having to work together with the orcs after fighting each other to be the first to reach the place in their visions, where Medivh explained. Medivh explained to them that the Burning Legion is invading again for the third time. First one broke the continent, second time was the orcs, and they have to work together to stop the demons and undead from taking the magical tree on top of Mount Hyjal. I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced, is Hyjal. which is also funny because that's how I say hello, everybody. Just hi, y'all. Uh, which gives, which gives the night elves their immortality and protects the small lake of magical power made from diluted waters. From the magical lake that mutated trolls isn't night elf. Into night elves. And the demons I used to try and create the portal they were going to take over the world with back in the day. So this place is incredibly important. All right, this one lake incredibly bigly important. Magical lake, big tree. I'm guessing it's sort of an Yggdrasil sort of situation where it's sort of like the world tree. And it like if it falls, the world ends sort of deal. Like or and if it falls, the world ends sort of deal. Like two that was two separate thoughts. That was two separate silly thoughts. I had a network error on my end for something unrelated, but something regardless. Yes. All right, things are fine now. Stream manager allows me to invite guests. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you for telling me that. I do not need that now, but I'll figure that out later. Right. Relaxing and stretching. I will have channel point goals once that is available to me, but it is not yet. Not goals. Channel point redeems like a stretch and hydrate, and also a funny thing that I won't reveal later. Let's see. The tree's name is Teldrassil. There are other names with Drasil names also, but they're not that important yet. All right, so all important trees have that Drasil ending. Uh, During the climatic final battle, one of the by the way, switching to just chatting helps me read your chat better because I can like highlight over the message and read through it, which is very fun and very convenient. The leader of the Eldar is summoned on Azeroth, basically destroying the humans' magical college city, or Jaina, studied in called Dalaran. Then walks over the ocean. He's also giant somehow. Don't ask. You see, sometimes you just want to be big, and then you get large. That's sort of if you're not able to do that, you're a loser. Uh, he manages to make it all the way to the tree and is about to destroy it. Rip. Then in a desperate last-ditch effort, the Night Elves summon all the spirits of the dead called Wisps. I like how I say that, Wisps. Uh, who swarm them and self-destruct themselves blow 'em up, but take out the tree in the process. Rip. Yeah, I said don't ask, I don't really know. Yeah, sometimes you just get big. So sometimes you just decide to be as like the height of a skyscraper or something, and then you're golden. But yeah, no. I think I'm going to. I think I'm gonna call the stream now. I have some obligations a bit later, and I don't want to miss them. So I am going to do my funny readout. I am going to say, I have been Bajongles. You can find me over on Blue Sky and Tumblr at BigBoyArt1. The username is Bajongles. The profile picture is the same. I upload these VODs on YouTube a week after I stream uh h- on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, and at noon PST. And let me read this last message before I go, because I like the lore. Arthas retreats back to the northern continent called Northrend. That's like calling Norway Norway. Right? It's the Northrend. It's like calling Norway Norway because it's north. Or like saying the Arctic is because bear like the bear constellations versus the no constellations. Humans name things very funnily, and I like it a lot. It's very cool. Sometimes people will be like, "That mountain is called Big Mountain." It's very simple, very nice. All right, yeah, no, I am going to see y'all on the flip flop. Goodbye.